Hi, this is Nathan Ryan, and today we're going to be using the cross-zoom transition in Boris Continuum Complete 10. Cross-zoom is part of several new transitions included with Boris Continuum Complete 10. The others include Light Leaks Dissolve, Cross Glitch, Cross Melt, and Fast Film Glow Dissolve. Cross-zoom saves a lot of time in your editing program by combining controls for several different effects into one easy-to-use transition. These include controls for zooms, aspect ratios, motion blurs, and keyframe interpolation. Here we are in Avid Media Composer, and you can see I've got two shots from a bowling alley I'd like to add a transition to. Under my Effect Palette Transitions, I'm going to go to BCC Transitions, BCC Cross Zoom, and drop it between the clips. Right now the settings are set to their default, but you can see the outgoing clip starts zooming in and dissolves to the incoming clip, which is zooming out. And this is a little flashier than just a plain old dissolve. If we go over to our effect controls, you can see we get both sliders in the effect editor as well as on-screen controls, also called the HUD or heads-up display, which we'll go over a little more later. Now for this clip, the defaults are fine, and I'm happy with the way they zoom in and out, but I'd like to add a little motion blur. So I click the motion blur checkbox, and this gives us some options. The shutter angle slider simulates the shutter angle inside of a camera, and a higher shutter angle should give us more of a blur. There, I'm pretty happy with that. And now we'll move on to Premiere. One thing I'd like to show you is the effects browser, which is an alternate way of quickly trying out different settings for the transition. You can see we have a number of different presets here, and if you make your own, they'll show up here as well. You can see as I click on the different presets, I get a live view of the transition, so it's easy to compare the different looks. You can see some of these have different animation presets, some zoom in from the corner rather than the center, some stretch, and so on. And if we click Apply, it will add that particular transition to the clips in your timeline. Going back to the regular effect browser, you'll see if we switch the animation dropdown to %done, we have the option to keyframe the %done, which can be handy if you'd like the transition to go very quickly or very slowly. And as we go a little more in depth with some of the controls here, the animation tuning controls are very helpful in creating the type of interpolation for the animation, how smoothly the shots go in and out. That can have a very different effect, depending on how you adjust these sliders here. When we turn on the heads-up display, you can see we have a more visual representation of some of the controls. Some people prefer to use this rather than the sliders. Each of these lines and curves represents different controls in your effect browser. But for now, I'd like to make something a little different from the default settings. I'd like the outgoing clip to stretch horizontally and dissolve to an incoming clip, which will get squished vertically down to its normal shape. We'll put the playhead right in the middle of the transition. That will give us sort of a good idea of what we're working with. For this, we'll drag the outgoing aspect slider to a high number and the incoming aspect slider to a low number. So as you can see, this is kind of what I was going for. As with all Boris effects, when you get a setting you like, you can save the preset so the same settings can easily be used again on other clips. There, I'm very happy with my transition between the two flying birds here. This is a little bit flashier than a regular dissolve and kind of adds a neat effect to it. Cross Zoom, as well as the rest of Boris Continuum Complete 10, is available for Avid, Premiere, After Effects, Sony, and Resolve. Even though all these programs have different interfaces, the Boris effects controls generally remain the same throughout all of them. Thanks for watching this tutorial. I'm Nathan Ryan for Boris Effects and Imagineer Systems.